Thank you very much, everybody. Good evening once more. Welcome to our small webinar. Yes, my name is Nodar Kharshiladze. I'm one of the founders of GSAC, and I will be moderating this session. I would like to thank all participants, which are listed, and I will not start naming them one another. I think we all already have a list of the participants, and let's save everybody's time. We will be discussing topic of the Turkey, and as a keynote speaker, we have a special guest from Istanbul, Turkey, Miss Nilufer NARLI. Hoş geldiniz, Nilufer Hanım. We will be very, very, very happy to hear you because it's at least we will have inside opinion about what's happening in Turkey and with its relationship to South Caucasus. You are a very distinguished academician. We all know that, and it will be our pleasure and honor to listen to you. Please, floor is yours.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for organizing this webinar, and Andrei, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the organizers and the panelists. Can I make a PowerPoint presentation? I prepared a PowerPoint presentation.
Sure, so we can make PowerPoint. Yes, of course, we can.
Sure. Okay, let me go, and I want to share my screen. I think I have to go to because I didn't see the share screen, so no, I think. Oh, let me see again. Oh, now I see. Okay, good. And right. Okay, again, good evening to everybody. And in this speech, I'm going to look at Turkey and South Caucasus countries, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia. So I'm going to look at each country by Turkey's relations with each country, Turkey's bilateral relations. First of all, I like to mention that Turkey, in fact, as you know, Turkey asked to change the name. Now, Turkey and three South Caucasus nations, they share similar regional culture and destiny, despite religious and ethnic differences. And also, they have mixed marriages and representation of all ethnic groups in their countries. The cooperation amongst these four countries is a key for prosperous and peaceful Caucasus. So this is my starting point. Okay, if we look at Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan and Turkey have deep-rooted relations. And, there is a motto, one nation, two states. And they have strong economic and military cooperation based on shared language, culture, and historical ties. Also, these two countries have a convergent geopolitical and economic interest. I think one of my points is Turkish-Azerbaijani energy alliance, but also there is a strategic alliance, especially after the signing of the Shusha Declaration. So when we look at President Aliyev, also he enhanced relations with Turkey, and Turkey and Azerbaijan developed a remarkable energy. I talk about geopolitical economic interests. There is also cooperation between two countries in the field of defense. Turkey contributed to Azerbaijan's military by modernizing its army, training the Azerbaijani army, up to the NATO standards. And then, of course, Shusha Declaration is very important. It was signed in June 2021. And strategic alliance is, maybe enhanced and built between the two countries. So each country, Turkey and Azerbaijan, are invested in each other economically. When we look at the volume of trade, it was 2.5 billion in 2001. Then the recent figure I found on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs webpage is 5.02 billion. But both countries, they agreed to increase the volume of trade. And they also support each other's foreign policy. The recent example is Azerbaijan's contribution to normalization of Turkish-Israeli relations that were tense, because of, Turkey's support for Hamas, and then some anti-Semitic statements. And I have footnote, if someone wants to know, I can explain. Some of the statements of Erdogan are, considered anti-Semitic and created controversy. But Azerbaijan was very helpful in easing the tension and the normalization of Turkish-Israeli relations. So now Turkish-Armenian relations. First, we can look at 1993-2010. And so Turkey, blocked the road, rail, air links after the Armenian occupation of Azerbaijan's Keynote province. This was after the first Nagorno-Karabakh war. Then, despite air and then the road, rail links were blocked, but the trade relation between the two countries didn't stop. They were carried out through the territory of Georgia and also Iran. But Georgia is more, important location. And then the volume of trade between, Armenia and Turkey first reached to 571,000 in 2000. Okay, I cannot see, but then 1,000 in maybe before. Let me see. Okay. Now I can see. Okay, very good. The volume of trade between Armenia reached from 5,700,000 to 4.2 million in 2020. And despite the ban on the import of Turkish goods to Armenia during the Karabakh conflict in 2020, the volume of trade amounted to 3.8 million in 2021, according to Turkey State Statistical Office data. And in 2009, there was an attempt to normalize the relations, and then the Armenian president was invited to Turkey to watch a football match, and then both countries, they signed agreement, a protocol, Turkish-Armenian protocol in Zurich. This is the protocol on establishment of diplomatic relations and protocol on the development of bilateral relations. But this didn't work. And then maybe also my colleagues can help to clarify, but the information I have, both countries were to submit protocols to their parliament. Ankara submitted it to Grand National Assembly for approval, but Armenia decided to send it to its constitutional court to have the approval from the court. And then court didn't rule. Then nothing happened until the earthquake. Okay, but after the Nagorno-Karabakh, second Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, there were, of course, exchange of messages, and then both countries talk about, normalization of relations, and then earthquake made a change. So I can say that after the earthquake, now there is a trust building process, and then earthquake diplomacy. So first, Armenia sent 27-member team to Turkey, and then this humanitarian convoy, crossed the border that was closed since 1993. And then so the opening of the borders, land borders to permit the Armenian convoy to enter Turkey has an important symbolic meaning. And also as part of the earthquake diplomacy, on February 15, 2023, Foreign Minister of Armenia first visited earthquake-affected city, and then he met the rescue team. Then also he had a visit to Turkey, and this is a historical visit. I found an article written by Bahcesehir and saying that this is a historical visit, and then he met Mevlüt Çavuşoğlu. Again, there were, talks about normalization of relations. Maybe no concrete step was taken, And when we look at the statements, Armenian foreign minister said that we are ready to improve bilateral cooperation, fully regulate relations with Turkey, establish diplomatic relations, and fully open the border between the countries. And also, what is happening between Turkey and Armenia, new steps are taken to enhance transport and economic ties. So first, air communication between the countries. Florian, Armenia received permission to operate Yerevan, Istanbul, Yerevan flights in December 2020. Turkish Pegasus Airlines start operating Istanbul, Yerevan, Istanbul flights from early February 2020. Economic ties. So from January 1st, 2020, Armenian government lifted the ban on the import of Turkish goods into the country. During the Second Karabakh War, such a ban was, embargo was introduced by Armenia. And then, but this embargo had a negative impact on Armenian economy. And then, so as I find the information from Jam News, it says the negative impact was reflected in the number of consumer goods, which was reported by the Minister of Armenia in May. Also, another step is special representatives were appointed within the context of Turkey-Armenia normalization process, who decided to commence the air cargo trade between the two countries on July 2020 in Vienna. So all these steps are important, and since from the, let's say, in fact, they started in 2021, 2022, before the earthquake diplomacy. And then we can look at Georgia. Georgia and Turkey, they have always, have cordial bilateral relations. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, when the Georgia declared independence, Turkey immediately recognized its independence. And then to understand the relations between Turkey and Georgia, let's look at the statement made by Georgian Foreign Ministry in May 2020. So he made this statement to mark the 30 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. And then he said, cooperation between Georgia and Turkey is of strategic nature and is successfully developing in the political, trade, economic, healthcare, infrastructure, and cultural humanitarian fields. And maybe in order to understand Turkish-Georgian relations, we can look at again Azerbaijan, Turkey and Georgia, because when I look at these relations, again, I like to have my colleagues' opinion. A type of geopolitical axis is maybe developing, and also there are other scholars who discuss this issue, and then they ask the same question, whether it's a geopolitical axis. So one of the important, let's say, cooperation between these three countries, Turkish, Georgian, Azeri cooperation, which was strengthened by the BP-led Baku-Tiflis-Ceyhan oil pipeline. And the second one, the South Caucasus gas pipeline from Baku to Turkey's top Erzurum through the Georgian territory. And this pipeline runs parallel and proximate to Baku-Tiflis-Ceyhan oil pipeline, and the gas pipeline has gained further importance with the Baku-Tiflis-Kars railroad project. And this railroad project became operational on October 30, 2017. So, there's a lot of information here. I can skip some of them, but this railway is really very important, and it is also important step in the Iron Silk Road, which will connect the Caspian Sea region to Turkey and beyond to Europe. This railway is technically a part of the Trans-Caspian International Transit Route. It aims to provide cargo transportation from China through Kazakhstan along a shorter route to Turkey or to Ukraine and on to Europe. So this pipeline and then oil line, and then all these railways are very important for the region. But when we look at the situation of Armenia, Armenia is isolated. So this is the map of Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway project. And now I like to say a few things about the past agreements. I mean, we will now go back to beginning of the 20th century. Before the foundation of the republic, in fact, Atatürk was very wise, very visionary person. He signed Treaty of Moscow. So the Treaty of Moscow was a treaty of friendship between Turkey, the Socialist Soviet Republic of Armenia, Azerbaijan, Socialist Soviet Republic, and the Socialist Soviet Republic of Georgia on October 23, 1921. It was ratified in Yerevan on September 11, 1922. And then Kars Agreement. Kars Agreement is also very important. The Treaty of Kars was based on the principles of the Treaty of Moscow. And then the Soviet Russia engaged as a peace broker in signing Treaty of Kars. This is important because when the second Nagorno-Karabakh war happened in 2020, again, Russia, this time Russia became a peace broker. And on June 30, 1992, Turkey and Georgia signed the Treaty of Friendship, Cooperation, and Good Neighbor Relations. The framework of this treaty mentions the Treaty of Kars. So when you look at the Treaty of Kars, it became a framework of cooperation for Turkey, Georgia, and then also when we look at the Shusha Declaration, I think also there is a reference to Treaty of Kars. I don't know whether I exceeded my time, so I, prepare something like 10-15 minutes speech. I can stop here, and I thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to make this speech.
Thank you very much, Madam NARLI. Unfortunately, our moderator had to temporarily leave because of some emergency situation. My name is Valery Chechelashvili, and I will.
Hello.
Now he's back. Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We would have, Professor, is it possible to have your slides for our research purposes? Of course, with reference to you.
Sure. I will, put all the references clearly, and tomorrow I can send it to you. But now you want to see them on the screen?
No, maybe for Q&A session, but I wanted to have it for the. Thank you very much, Professor.
No, even I am preparing a paper based on the slides, something like 4,000 words paper, a short paper.
Okay, so thank you so much. I know that you will work on paper. Now let's talk about the regional countries, which 3 of them are represented today. We have 3 very good and distinguished speakers from Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia to go to alphabetic level. And I'll start with our Armenian friend, who again is our long-standing partner. It's good to see you, Benyamin, as always, and it will be very interesting to listen your perspective on this format. Please, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank organizers, MAPIC, and also GSAC for this opportunity and this timely webinar. So while we will speak about Armenia-Turkey relations, I will start from 1991, not going deep into the history. So when Armenia got independence, during the first presidency, the president was Levon Ter-Petrosyan, the Armenian vision was that, okay, we should have normal relations with Turkey. And Levon Ter-Petrosyan, even before the collapse of Soviet Union, we met with the Turkish ambassador in Soviet Union, trying to understand how Armenia-Turkey relations can be moved forward. And of course, we should not forget that there was a historical burden. There was the issue of genocide of 1915, which definitely impacted at least perception in Armenia about the future Armenia-Turkey relations. But Armenia's position was this, that, okay, let's try to have normal relations. Simultaneously, starting from 1992, war broke out in Nagorno-Karabakh. The Nagorno-Karabakh conflict started. And as a result of this conflict, in April 1993, Turkey decided to close its border with Armenia and put an economic blockade on Armenia, hoping that along the line with the blockade imposed by Azerbaijan, this Turkey-Azerbaijan joint actions to impose blockade on Armenia and also to isolate Armenia from all regional projects. Our colleague from Turkey spoke about oil and gas pipeline, Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, Baku-Tbilisi-Erzurum, and then about railroad, Baku-Tbilisi-Kars. So starting from 1993, Turkish position was very clear. We fully support Azerbaijan on Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, and we will do everything to force Armenia to accept Azerbaijani vision or version of settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. So from 1993 until 2007, Armenia-Turkey relations were, I may say, relatively frozen. Then, when Serge Sargsyan was elected as the president of Armenia in 2008, he started this famous football diplomacy. Also, we have to accept that some initial steps and some classified negotiations started even in 2007, when Robert Kocharian was president and Vartan Oskanyan was our Minister of Foreign Affairs. However, officially, Serge Sargsyan declared about its intention to invite President Gül to Yerevan in September 2008 to take part in the Armenia-Turkey soccer game. And that is why the process calls the name of football diplomacy. What was Armenia's vision from this? Armenia's perception was this: okay, let's try to separate Armenia-Turkey relations with Turkey-Azerbaijan relations. Let's try to normalize Armenia-Turkey relations. Definitely, first, it will somehow will create complications and will create cracks on Azerbaijan-Turkey alliance to put pressure on Armenia. And also many in Armenia thought that, okay, normalization of relations with Turkey also will support Armenia somehow to decrease its dependence on Russia. Because starting from early 1990s, due to the conflict with Azerbaijan and joint Azerbaijani-Turkish pressure on Armenia, frankly speaking, Armenia has no other choices than to become a strategic ally of Russia, trying at least using Russia as a way to balance or counter this joint Turkish-Azerbaijani pressure. And also, I have to emphasize that the United States played a significant role in all this process of Turkish diplomacy, because it was very clear American idea that, okay, let's normalize Armenia-Turkey relations. If Armenia-Turkey relations are normalized, then Armenia probably will have less fear from Turkey. And if Armenia has less fears from Turkey, then maybe Armenia will need less Russia. So this was the American logic why they supported this soccer diplomacy. However, despite the fact that on October 2009, Armenia and Turkey signed 2 protocols, the process was frozen, and not because Armenian Constitutional Court decided something, because first of all, let's fix that this is a normal procedure, legal procedure in Armenia. All international agreements and international protocols, they are going to Constitutional Court. First, Constitutional Court should confirm that they are in line with Constitution, and then Armenian parliament may ratify or not ratify it. So there was nothing extraordinary when these 2 protocols were sent to Constitutional Court. However, the one state which was a clear spoiler in all this game was Azerbaijan. Azerbaijani position were very clear starting from summer 2008, that as far as Armenia has not accepted Azerbaijani vision on the settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, no Armenia-Turkey normalization may happen. And we all remember the tough stance and tough statements from Azerbaijani leadership, including President Aliyev, against Turkey. And also Azerbaijan started to intervene also in Turkish domestic politics, fostering its relations with nationalistic party, MHP, trying also to use this as a tool to pressure then Prime Minister Erdogan and also President Abdullah Gül. So mostly due to the active efforts of Azerbaijan, and also due to the fact that also Azerbaijan already at that time had some economic leverage on Turkey due to the investments by FOCAR, Azerbaijan was able to derail the process. And from 2010, Armenia-Turkey normalization process was stalled, and the situation didn't change until 2020 second Nagorno-Karabakh war. Of course, Turkish direct involvement in the war, and by speaking about direct involvement, I not only mean the sale of or supply of weapons to Azerbaijan, including Bayraktar drones, but also Turkish operators who were sitting in Baku and operating the drones, and also a lot of Turkish generals who were actually fitting Azerbaijani general staff and planning and also implementing and supervising the military operations. Definitely, this sent shockwaves to Armenia. And many people, and also our leadership, if you look into the statements of Prime Minister Pashinyan during the war, which he gave, or statements and interviews which he gave to many distinguished international media, the message was clear that Turkey has decided to return to South Caucasus. Trilateral statement of November 2020, and especially after the June 2021 snap parliamentary elections in Armenia, which resulted in Prime Minister Pashinyan keeping its power, Armenian government decided to start another round of normalization of relations with Turkey. And this time, if the previous round was mostly supported and facilitated by the United States, this time Russia also was okay with this process, because Russia was interested to have connections, also corridors and transport routes to Turkey, hoping that, okay, if Armenian-Turkish relations are normalized and if agreement will be reached between Armenia and Azerbaijan, this also will allow Russia to reach Turkey by railway and highway via Azerbaijani and Armenian territory, circumventing Georgia. So Armenia and Turkey decided to appoint two special representatives, and the first meeting took place in January 2022. We had several meetings by the special representatives, and also we had a landmark meeting between Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan and President Erdogan, which took place on October 6, 2022 in Prague. However, current Armenian government position was that, okay, Armenia-Turkey normalization should start, but it should start without any preconditions. And again, there was a clear vision that, okay, let's separate Armenia-Turkey relations with Armenia-Azerbaijan relations. However, despite the fact that these initial preconditions, which hampered the process of Armenia-Turkey normalization in 2008-2010, as Turkey was calling it, the occupation of Azerbaijani lands. This precondition did not exist because as a result of 2020 war, Azerbaijan not only took control of 7 adjacent regions, adjacent to the former Nagorno-Karabakh autonomous region, but also 30% of former Nagorno-Karabakh autonomous region itself. However, despite all efforts by Armenian government, until now, Turkish official position is very clear that yes, we started the process of normalization with Armenia, but real normalization is possible only after the peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is a Turkish official position and publicly stated by President Erdogan also after this October 6 meeting with Prime Minister Pashinyan. President Erdogan clearly stated that, okay, preconditions are there. And the number one precondition is Armenia should accept Azerbaijani demand or Azerbaijani vision of peace treaty, and Armenia should sign a peace agreement with Azerbaijan. Before that, no real normalization and no real breakthrough is possible. Yes, probably that come with some gestures of goodwill. For example, the agreement to open the border for the citizens of third countries, to start the direct cargo flights, and also to renovate this only bridge, this historical bridge. But all these are the gestures of the goodwill, and these are symbolic gestures, but they lack of effort. Regarding the so-called earthquake diplomacy, because after earthquake, when Armenia sent its rescue team, then the trucks with humanitarian cargo passed Armenia-Turkey land border first time for the last 30 years. There was a lot of discussions that will this earthquake diplomacy somehow facilitate Armenia-Turkey normalization process. And also Armenian foreign minister visited Turkey on February 15, 2023. However, despite some hopes that earthquake diplomacy may facilitate the normalization process, still as of now, we are receiving the same messages from Turkey. Yes, thank you very much. We are appreciated your humanitarian assistance. Thank you very much for your visits. Thank you very much for your good words and for works of the rescuers. But again, any breakthrough or any serious real normalization between Armenia-Turkey relations is possible only after signature of peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is a clear position of current Turkish government. Even we all know that within 1 month, on May 14, there will be crucial presidential and parliamentary elections in Turkey. Of course, it's very challenging now to assess will President Erdogan survive or not. And definitely a domestic political situation in Turkey is very complicated. We see united opposition. 6 parties joined the efforts to push out Erdogan from the power after 21 years since AKP came to power in November 2002. And now it's very challenging to say what will happen if opposition candidate Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu will want presidency and will become a president. Will it change Turkey's position on Armenia-Turkey normalization or not? Now it's very challenging to say, but as far as we understand here in Armenia, and as far as I understand, when we are speaking about Turkey, we should understand that there is a Turkish policy on South Caucasus, not President Erdogan's personal policy. And from my perspective, regardless of the results of the May 14, 2023 elections, I believe that Turkey will continue its current path, which means that, okay, we will support Azerbaijan and no full normalization or serious or comprehensive normalization of Armenia-Turkey relations is possible as far as there is a no Armenia-Azerbaijan peace agreement. Of course, this is a little bit pity because we all know that despite this 2-year ongoing negotiation between Armenia and Azerbaijan in different platforms, we have a Moscow platform starting from December 2021, we have Brussels platform, and also since summer 2022, we have Washington platform. So these 3 actors are trying to facilitate Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiations, Russia, the EU, the United States. Still, Armenia and Azerbaijan are not close to the peace agreement, and we see a lot of escalations and a lot of Azerbaijani attacks. Last escalation took place just yesterday evening, resulted casualties on both sides, Armenia and Azerbaijan. So, of course, from Armenian position, it will be much better than Turkey will change its position, will stop connecting directly Armenia-Turkey relations with Armenia-Azerbaijan relations and stop telling that, okay, as far as there is no comprehensive and final peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, there will be no Armenia-Turkey normalization. Armenia's position is very clear that, okay, let's separate Armenia-Turkey relations with Armenia-Azerbaijan relations. Let's try to normalize Armenia-Turkey relations, which itself, from Armenia's perspective, normalization of Turkey-Armenia relations would facilitate and will support the normalization of Armenia-Azerbaijan relations. So let's start from this. But we have what we have. Turkish official position is very clear. Again, no normalization with Armenia as far as there is a no peace agreement between Turkey and between Azerbaijan and Armenia. So from current perspective, I don't think that we are very close to a comprehensive normalization between the relations of Turkey and Armenia, because again, as I mentioned, even if opposition candidate will win the presidential elections scheduled in Turkey for May 14, 2023, I don't believe that Turkey will change its foreign policy, which means that still maybe we will have this ongoing normalization process because neither Armenia nor Turkey are interested to leave the process because it will show them as non-constructive actors or players in international arena. So probably these meetings between 2 special representatives will continue. But again, as far as there is no peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and unfortunately, I don't believe we are very close to this peace agreement between Armenia and Azerbaijan, I believe we will far away from Armenia-Turkey normalization process. So I believe that even these symbolic gestures like opening border for citizens of third countries, direct cargo flights, also the potential renovation of this medieval Ani Bridge, this at least could create some conducive environment for further negotiations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Benyamin. It's very interesting what you mentioned. I mean, we don't want to be pessimistic, but we don't also want to be unreasonably optimistic in many ways. And I fully agree with what you said. And on the elections, from my own experience, and I think Professor NARLI would know it better, of course, but Turkey's foreign policy is not personality-based. It rarely is. I mean, I think that we can all agree that whoever wins the election, there will be no significant shifts in Turkish foreign policy. There will be lots of shifts in appointments inside of Turkey. Internally, yes, a lot will change in Turkey if government changes. But foreign policy, it's mostly Turkey being very conceptual in foreign policy since Atatürk established the republic. I think it will remain that way. Yes, some things might change, but I fully agree with you. I don't see how situation will change unless you guys agree on something with Azerbaijan. I mean, that's unfortunately will continue. And plus, let's not forget genocide issue, which your side continues to press. Of course, it's your sovereign rights, but it's not helping with the relationship with Turkey. I mean, that's a very emotional issue for Turks as well, meaning that their judgment of these events are, of course, recognizing victims and everything, but a war genocide is not acceptable for Turks. So, and it's very sensitive to you as well. I've been in your memorial when I was in Yerevan as official, and I feel what you feel. I mean, it was a horrible tragedy, which we all agree. I think so. Until this kind of issues are established, I think overall optimism will not be very, very reasonable. So yeah, let's continue. But even small steps, gestures, as you said, I think they will be well-intended. And let's hope that we can get somewhere. Happily, we have a speaker from our neighbor, Azerbaijan, very, very interesting analyst, Mr. Shahbazov. Fuad, you have listened to your Armenian colleague. First of all, tell us if you agree with what he said about this Azerbaijan being a key for the Turkish-Armenian relationship, and what could you add from your side? I mean, do you think that this will go somewhere?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for my colleagues for bringing very important like scenes from the near history. So from Azerbaijani perspective, of course, we have been going through a lot in the South Caucasus, and yesterday's quick escalation, the armed escalation with casualties on both sides, tell us that yeah, this situation is still far from being smooth, and the process will not be smooth as it's expected, because since the 90s, I would say the Azerbaijani foreign policy and Azerbaijani overview of the security concept, like entire security concept, can be divided into two main phases. Like the first one is from 90s until 2020, and the second one from 2020 from nowadays. So although Azerbaijan priority was to somehow bring the Karabakh issue to negotiation table, to solve the conflict by exploring the new ways, or by trying to fill this gap, the security gap that emerged in the South Caucasus right after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And in order to do that successfully, and in order to finalize the process, Azerbaijan has largely used its energy resources. Azerbaijan has heavily relied on its financial means and resources while strengthening ties to Turkey and to the European Union. So most of all, the most significant part in Azerbaijan foreign policy, considering its vast resources, has been occupied by the European Union and still the European Union is the main destination for Azerbaijan fossil fuels. So the European Union has been the leading partner of Azerbaijan in terms of energy, in terms of a stable market. But the situation a little bit changed when the Second Karabakh War just started, because many of the European Union countries, I mean the individual countries, just a little bit avoided to interfere into the process and remain bystander, which dragged a lot of criticism from Azerbaijan and from Armenia, because the EU just discovered that it has no real means on the ground, or to maintain at least a limited influence in the process. And what we are seeing now, what we are witnessing now, the European Union and the West, and to some extent the United States, are trying to compensate this absence from the South Caucasus, their disengagement from the South Caucasus since from the mid of the 20s, because unofficially the West acknowledged the leading role of Russia as a main regional stakeholder in the South Caucasus, and just try to attempt to refrain from interfering or from diving into too much details the political process in the South Caucasus, because Russia has been seeing the South Caucasus as a geopolitical backyard for a very long time, which has deprived the West to play a key role, at least in the political process, in the political transition process since the 90s. So just shortly before the Second Karabakh War started, Azerbaijan witnessed the deepening ties to Turkey and to Israel, mainly because, especially in terms of security partnership, because Azerbaijan has found it's a quite limited sphere of partnership in terms of security, because of the situation in the South Caucasus. Many Western countries avoided to have or to preserve at least a deeper security partnership, both with Armenia and Azerbaijan, under the pretext of possible escalation or the new standoff in which could destabilize the region, and therefore, in terms of in that sense, Turkey and Israel became a key partners for Azerbaijan. So, of course, many accuse Azerbaijan for purchasing a lot of weaponry from Turkey and Israel, and for deliberately preparing for war in 2020. But of course, Azerbaijan for a long time reserved its right to. Has always been like the official narrative in Azerbaijan for mainly 3 decades was that Azerbaijan resorts to its right to resolve the Karabakh issue entirely by the military force, and for that reason, that was the main reason why Azerbaijan gradually increases defense expenditures, defense budget, and increases capabilities of its armed forces. So. Yet Turkey-Azerbaijan relations became more deeper in the post-Karabakh war, because Turkey, as my colleagues already mentioned, Turkey provided a significant support to Azerbaijan, both in political level and in military level, which instead triggered a very staunch pro-Turkish sentiments in Azerbaijan, because during the war, just and shortly after the war, you could have seen Turkish flags being raised in nearly in all major cities and settlements of Azerbaijan, because of pro-Turkish sentiments were quite high, and people and just ordinary citizens widely acknowledge the role of Turkey and the support Turkey provided to Azerbaijan, unlike other partner countries. So. And also just more about the Turkish-Azerbaijan relations. Turkey is now is on the brink of very critical elections coming in next month, and the general idea in Azerbaijan is that, of course, some conservative people in Azerbaijan of course, they staunchly support the current government, the ruling government of President Erdogan, because they are confident that if Erdogan wins the next term in Turkish general elections and the parliament elections, this will somehow increase Azerbaijan's upper hand in the process, in the negotiation process with Armenia, and possibly resulting in at least in signing of a draft, a peace treaty with Armenia, while others are convinced that Erdogan's re-election in the upcoming elections in Turkey is not that much critical. Is not critically important, because Azerbaijan and Turkish defense and military partnership has been inked by Shusha Declaration signed in 2021 and ratified by both parliaments of Turkey and Azerbaijan, which guarantees the Turkish military aid to Azerbaijan in case of military or in case of intervention by third countries. So, of course, by third countries here means in today's reality, it means Iran, or it means somehow points to Russia. And given that fact, we cannot ignore the fact that Iran, one of other important regional actors, is unhappy with the processes going around Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Azerbaijan, Israel, because the current Iranian government authorities are sure that, they're pretty much sure that Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Azerbaijan, Israel tandem, it's strictly anti-Iranian tandem, which can hamper Iran's influence in the South Caucasus without giving consent that Iran's soft power. In fact, Iran's soft power in the South Caucasus has not been critically or significantly high, because it has always been limited. because in case of Azerbaijan, Iran's soft power mainly stemmed from the fact that Iran maintained a religious influence among Shia believers in Azerbaijan, because Azerbaijan is still the Shia majority country, and Iran has managed to somehow develop and extend sleeping cells in Azerbaijan with pro-Iranian linked groups. Because, so for example, in the southern part of Azerbaijan, you have quite a lot of Iranian sympathizers or Iranian educated clerics, which has long been carrying out a propaganda, pro-Iranian propaganda. So, and the recent escalation between Azerbaijan and Iran in case of in light of mutual accusations that Iran is trying to activate its sleeping cells within Azerbaijan, under pretext of national security and border security. This makes sense in also considering the fact that Azerbaijan and Iran, I mean, it was the Iranian previous administration of the President Hassan Rouhani, who somehow developed quite a pragmatic partnership with Azerbaijan, unlike the current hardliner and conservative administration of President Ibrahim Raisi. So, in that sense, under the threats coming from from Iran, Azerbaijani government found it irrelevant to continue pursuing a balanced foreign policy toward Iran, because we are seeing now that Azerbaijan, unlike in previous years, Azerbaijan now openly accuses Iran or openly confronts Iran in a diplomatic way, in a diplomatic standoff, that Iran is trying to interfere into domestic affairs of Azerbaijan by trying to use those local sympathizers, or attempting to bring more to explore more ways of destabilizing the country within. So while Iran in its turn accusing Azerbaijan for opening its first ever embassy in Israel very recently, and for developing or for allowing the so-called Zionist regime to use Azerbaijani soil as a point of surveillance to just monitor the Iranian northern territories. So this has been a fact that Iranian government has never been able to present a visual or a physical evidence, because such accusation has been on the ground for many years, but Iranian side has always been fell short to present any visual evidence of Israeli intelligence units operating on Azerbaijan soil. Yeah. Also, on the little bit topic of the potential peace treaty with Armenia, yeah, the situation between Armenia and Azerbaijan is not really smooth, because this 3 years has passed since the November ceasefire agreement in 2020, brokered by Russia, but neither Russia nor the European Union mediators or mediation appear to be significantly useful in terms of bringing both sides to the negotiation table, or to achieve any kind of explicit result, or in terms of at least in minor issues such as border delimitation process, or exchange of prisoners of war, or exchange of information about the fate of people died in the first Karabakh war, that are like on Azerbaijan side around more than 1,000 people are still considering being missed during the first Karabakh war, and exchanging information about the fates of those people who are still being considered as missing will be quite a significant milestone. But Azerbaijan, Armenia still have problems with this issues. So therefore, I expect that I don't expect that like Benyamin mentioned, the peace treaty, or at least a draft version of the peace treaty, will be signed soon, because we still have to wait to find out that what will be the main results of the current phase of negotiations, which seemingly a little bit failed, and we still have to we yet to see the upcoming Brussels meeting of Aliyev and Pashinyan, which still hasn't been scheduled yet. But after just yesterday's escalation between Armenian and Azerbaijani forces and with casualties, both sides agreed to meet up in Moscow for the next round of negotiations. So in that term, we can say that we can claim that Russia is quite comfortable with the current level of situation, with the current state of situation, because it still allows Russia to reserve those leverage over Armenia, Azerbaijan, over the South Caucasus region, because those leverage gives Russia additional means of to exert more power on local states, and to make sure that it still holds the role of key stakeholder, regional key stakeholder, given it's that Russia is largely distracted by the Ukraine war. Its resources are rerouted to Ukraine, because Russia tactically and strategically is losing this war with a huge amount of casualties, both economically and human resources. Therefore, my colleague said, in that sense, Azerbaijan-Turkey relations.
Fuad, we on time. Can we wrap it up?
Yeah, just two minutes conclusion, and okay. So in terms of, in that term, I guess I assume that Azerbaijan-Turkey relations will be vitally important for Baku, at least to develop regional format of cooperation, because Turkey for Azerbaijan is a key partner that can pave the way for potential peace with Armenia, given its role as a leading regional power, and it can act as a deterrence force against possible Azerbaijan-Iran escalation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. It's definitely interesting, also mentioning Iran. Let's see. I mean, we are living, unfortunately, in very interesting region. Unfortunately, because I wish for a time when we are quite province of this part of the Eurasia, but it's not bound to happen, at least I think in our lifetime. But let's see what the third country in this puzzle of Caucasus have to say. It's my dear colleague and friend and very distinguished diplomat, Ambassador Valery Chechelashvili, who worked twice as a Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and a number of times as head of international organization. Valery, Your Excellency, so what's on our side of the deal? What's Georgia? Please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Nodar. Thank you very much for very insightful and informative statements of distinguished speakers. I think that now my job is much easier now because a lot of issues were covered. Actually, we were catapulted to a new world completely after Russia started its barbaric war in Ukraine, and in this respect also South Caucasus as a region and its significance is becoming much bigger now. And it depends on us, on 3 South Caucasian countries, what this region will be and what we are and where we go. But at the same time, there are a number of important players around us, regional players who also have their interests and who influence the situation in our region. And Turkey, of course, is one of them. And we are discussing Turkish role today, and I will try to bring very shortly our perspective and understanding. So I believe that Turkey is a very important player and a very important strategic partner for Georgia. And before Soviet Union collapsed, you know, it was Iron Curtain which was dividing Warsaw Pact and NATO, and this was going exactly on the border dividing Soviet Union and Turkey. To this end, Georgia and Turkish northern eastern provinces were a sort of dead end. But situation completely changed after Soviet Union collapsed. New opportunities emerged in the region. And I think that these opportunities were utilized due to very, visionary policy, which was pursued by then Turkish leaders. First of all, it was Turkish President Turgut Özal and Prime Minister Süleyman Demirel, who later, 1993, was elected as a president of Turkey and served as a president till 2000. So, as for Georgia, we experienced very difficult period in the beginning of 90s because economy collapsed, GDP decreased to 30%, and only Tajikistan demonstrated worse results than Georgia then. We experienced transport and trade blockade from Russia. And in these circumstances, relations with Turkey for Georgia were of utmost importance. And due to policy formulated and implemented by first Prime Minister and then President Süleyman Demirel, now we see that relations between Turkey and Georgia are partner relations, friendly relations, and relations of strategic partnership. I remember when Prime Minister Demirel was defending his decision to give a loan of $60 million to Georgia, and a lot of then parliament members were criticizing him for this decision, saying that Georgia is a weak, ruined country and will never be able to return this money back to Turkey. Prime Minister Demirel said that Turkey is a regional player, is a strong country who is interested in the security of its neighbors, and that's why Turkey has to do anything it can in order to improve the position of neighboring countries, including Georgia. So we of course will remember that always, as well as the fact that Turkey opened its markets to Georgians, transport routes, trade, and so it all developed in the state of affairs when Turkey and Georgia are strategic partners. But I think that we have to speak here not only about our bilateral relations. I think that because of strategic partnership which was built by Turkey with Azerbaijan and Turkey, it became possible to position South Caucasus as an important region, not only in regional context, but also in geopolitical context. And at the moment, as I emphasized, the importance of this region is even higher. Now, what is at the moment? What is the state of affairs between Turkey and Georgia? Turkey is the main trade partner of Georgia, with $2.8 billion turnover, and I think that this year it will go beyond the threshold of 3 billion. Although there is a problem that we have very weak export to Turkish market. It's only $450 million, which means that our trade deficit with Turkey is about $2 billion US dollars, and it's 2 billion out of 7 billion our trade deficit overall. Yes. Turkish investments are there were times when Turkey was #1 investor in Georgia. Now, last year we had only 100 million Turkish investments. But at the same time, we see that this trilateral cooperation, Turkey, Georgia, Azerbaijan, is very successful. We have implemented a number of infrastructure projects, which and their significance go far beyond the region. And at the moment, we are witnessing the further development of this idea, and it goes beyond Caspian now. We see the active policy of President Aliyev in different countries of Central Asia. Recently, he was back from Tajikistan and Kazakhstan, and SOCAR already declared that oil from Kazakhstan will flow through Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan, which is a very important development. But it became possible because Turkey had this vision of developing this regional potential. And Turkey played here a key role. If not Turkey, of course, Azerbaijan and Georgia alone wouldn't be in the position to utilize this enormous potential. Now, I think that we already can draw some conclusions, and at the end of this my presentation, I will offer distinguished audience two conclusions and 3 recommendations. The first my conclusion is that Turkish-Georgian relationship is important for both countries, but these relations are also important contribution to the regional stability and integration. Number 2 conclusion is that Turkey and Georgia were able to demonstrate that 2 countries with complicated historic experience, taking advantage of new opportunities, can move their relationship to the qualitatively new level. And this played to the benefit of both countries and to the region as well. Now, what recommendations may I offer to our audience? First, I think that at bilateral level, particularly, we have to activate the exchange of visits. I think that last period of time we had very few visits on the highest level, as well as visits of ministers and other institutions. So I think that in order to keep the ball of this cooperation rolling and to avoid some negative cases, we have to activate this visit. The negative cases, for example, I mean what happened with very promising project of Namahwani hydropower station, which was we were expecting investments of Turkey up to 600 million US dollars. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I think that would we have more intensive work on both business level and government level, we may avoid this very negative development. I think it's very important to renew the trilateral meetings, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Georgia, because there are a lot of problems still on the table, and a lot of interest from Europe and from Caspian and Central Asian countries. Trans-Caspian projects are being activated, and without strong coordination of this, what was said as a strategic axis of these 3 countries, it will be difficult to implement. So these trilateral meetings at any level are very, very important. And the number 3 recommendation is another trilateral format, which I am very strong advocate of. This is trilateral format of the South Caucasus countries, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, because in South Caucasus, there always will live a lot of different nations: Armenians, Azerbaijanians, Georgians, Abkhazians, Ossetians, and others, but there'll be only 3 countries here. Not 4, not 5 or 6, but only 3 countries. And on this trilateral cooperation, it depends what South Caucasus will be in the future. Will it be region of stability and integration, or conflicts and some misunderstandings? So this trilateral cooperation is very important, and I believe that one day we will have it. And then this trilateral cooperation will decide what will be plus something. Will it be 3 plus 1, 3 plus 2, 4, 3, or whatever? So this is I think what will bring real stability and integration. And of course, it should be based on the recognized principles and norms of international law, territorial integrity and inviolability of international recognized borders included. And once again, concluding, I would like to express gratitude to Turkey, because Turkey's policy in the region was always based on these norms and principles of international law, which was contributing to regional stability and development perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Definitely from our perspective as a Georgian, I would add that Turkey has been a very good neighbor to us from the regaining of the independence, and we enjoyed a very extensive economical relationship, lots of interesting projects like Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan. Of course, there are some little problems, but even in families, such problems happens. But mostly we have a very positive relationship with our Turkish neighbors, and this is the one neighborhood we don't worry about. And same goes for Turks. I go there often, and I know that there is a very positive approach towards us as well. So, lastly, to add that Russia war in Ukraine has made European energy independence is not a desire, but a must. So they have to do it now. But some things are physically not achievable without our region. We know that. So strategic value of our region has gone up. That's the fact. We should expect now Caspian oil, and it's not only Azerbaijan, but Kazakhstan, possibly Turkmenistan, flowing through our region, through Turkey, going to the Europe. There are very extensive talks about restarting such projects as TAP and TANAP, which was shelved because of the Russians' influence in the region. So things will change. And as it looks like, it will change for our benefits, at least. I mean, we will have more opportunities. I don't want to see, for example, Armenia left out of that, simply from the pragmatic reasons that we don't want Russia to be in full control of Armenia. I am sure that Armenians do not want them themselves, but this is not good for region. However, we need to find some solutions. I would like to conclude our major part of this briefing with the maybe some hope that we can come up with each other, with solutions. Yes, there are old conflicts, but come on. French and British fought wars over 800 years in Europe, and today they are strategic partners. Same goes for the French and Germans, for German and Dutch, and from Norwegians and Swedes, and list is long. Okay, so there is a chance, really, but maybe we need more time. But I think that now this is a unique time. Russia will be weakened. It is already weakened. That's also a fact. It's not collapsed, of course, but it's weakened. Turkey's role has increased because of the several interesting initiatives, and our region's price has increased also because of this energy thing. So let's try to capitalize it and bring more stability in the region. I think there are lots of things we can do together, of course, if you manage to do that. With that, I would ask now if we have any questions or comments or special statements by anybody, we would be happy to take your questions or some statement. Maybe participants would like to add some things. You are more than welcome, please.
For sure, I would like it.
Yeah, I think Professor wants to say something.
Yes, thank you very much. I fully agree with your points and and also thank you very much for the conclusion and 3 recommendations, and thank you very much for your analysis. Yes, the price of the region is increasing. The region has gained more, how you say, geopolitical significance. And then, what our countries need is to find better means and platforms for cooperation. And maybe I'd like to underline the importance of track 2 diplomacy. You say that these 3 countries, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, should keep meeting. And I think also NGOs and intellectuals, they can get together. There can be maybe webinars for bringing journalists, NGOs from these 4 countries. I mean, Turkey and 3 South Caucasus countries. Just a humble recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Excellent idea. I think that this merits more attention. Well, let's work on that, and let's structure it. This is, I mean, more discussions, especially in such formats, would definitely lead to better solutions. We do believe in that, and thank you very much. Your idea is very interesting, and I think we should work on that. Andrzej, you wanted to add something,
Yes,
please.
not my idea, but
So
you know.
Andrzej is our member of our board, and he is a distinguished diplomat, Polish nationality, who been also very instrumental in enlarging and representing NATO in Caucasus for more than a decade. So please, floor is yours.
Thank you very much for very informative and comprehensive speeches. I have 2. That means thank you very much, Valery. You touched this economy, and I would like to know, because maybe the politics is very important, but if there will be normalization, and there are some threats, voices in Armenia, for example, where if the border with Turkey will be open, that might be a threat for the Armenian economy. Is it true or not? That first question. Second, you mentioned Nilufer, 1 nation, 2 states. Maybe there are some ideas to do something more, not only 2 states. This idea about the pan-Turkish, that means the second question. And third question to my colleagues from Armenia, Azerbaijan, and me to you, about the peace treaty. We are everybody interested in having peace, stability in the region. And how do you see the role of Turkey, if any, in helping finding a solution or to sign a peace treaty? Fuad, you mentioned that possible Moscow meeting. I didn't know about this, but this is why I'm asking, because we now have a panel about the role of Turkey, and I'm interested in having any information if Turkey is interested in helping you, Armenians and Azerbaijans, to find common solution. Thank you very much.
Sorry, first you want me to answer or?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, thank you very much. And, I found some articles talking about huge potential to increase the volume of trade between Armenia and Turkey, of course, when the road is open. And but since I'm not economist, I cannot make more comments. However, even the embargo introduced on Turkish goods, it had a negative impact on Armenian economy. Okay, the other question about the Azerbaijan, Turkey. Okay, this is the motto: 1 nation, 2 states. And Andrei, it's a great idea. Maybe we need a new motto to build a better partnership between Turkey and the 3 South Caucasus countries. In fact, we can work on it, but also we can get ideas from journalists, intellectuals, and diplomats. Yes, it's a great idea. Something like South Caucasus partnership, brotherhood. No, maybe brotherhood is because it has some negative connotation. But there can be a type of approach emphasizing South Caucasus partnership. You remember at the beginning of my paper, in my presentation, I said that good relations, cooperation amongst these 4 countries, Turkey and 3 South Caucasus countries, is key for prosperous South Caucasus. So work on this idea. I think it's a great idea for all of us for homework. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Narli. I think that you brought very important message from in your statement, saying that we all came from the same cultural roots, from the same region. So I believe that this notion of security is indivisible. So we all are dependent on each other. And from this point of view, I think that very important is to include in these security arrangements also Armenia, for Armenia to feel comfortable and to feel full-fledged partner in this whatever formats we will develop. So thank you very much. Now, Fuad and Benyamin, would you like to contribute, please? There was a question from Andrzej.
Thank you. If I may jump in. So regarding the implications of Armenia's economy, a potential opening of the Armenia-Turkey border, there are contradicting assessments in Armenia. Some economists argue that this will damage Armenian economy because the cheap Turkish export lot of goods will flood into Armenia and they will damage the different sectors of Armenian economy, starting from agriculture and ending from textile production. Also, there are fears that big Turkish companies can come and simply buy many Armenian companies. But if you look into the government assessment, for example, Ministry of Economy and others, they are telling that the potential damage or ramifications are exaggerated. And according to the government position, the opening of Armenia-Turkey border will have positive impact on Armenia's economy. There are different numbers, even like it will increase Armenian GDP by several percent. There are even people who argue that it will increase Armenian GDP by 10%. But at least there is a contradicting assessment, but official government position is that the opening of Armenia-Turkey border will contribute to Armenian economy. Regarding the potential role of Turkey in Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiations and Nagorno-Karabakh conflict settlement process, Armenia's position is very clear. If Turkey wants to contribute to the regional stability and security, it should stop putting preconditions on Armenia, and it should move forward towards Armenia-Turkey normalization without connecting this to Armenia-Azerbaijan process and without stating about preconditions that, okay, precondition number 1, Armenia should accept Azerbaijani demands, otherwise no normalization. As far as Turkey's position is this, that, okay, please accept Azerbaijani vision of peace agreement or Azerbaijani vision of peace, and then we can speak about Armenia-Turkey normalization. From Armenian perspective, first, Turkey cannot play any role in Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiations because it's not a neutral country, 100% supporting Azerbaijan. And also, as I mentioned, it was directly involved in the Nagorno-Karabakh war. So again, from Armenian perspective, only way through which Turkey can support Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiation process is to drop its preconditions and to move forward towards Armenia-Turkey normalization, because we believe that if Armenia-Turkey relations are normalized, this definitely will contribute to establish more conducive environment on Armenia-Azerbaijan negotiations.
Thank you, Benyamin, for your opinion and arguments. Fuad, floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so Turkish role in the South Caucasus, as I mentioned before, is unarguable because it's still, despite the economic crisis and despite this natural disaster, Turkey still maintains the role of leading regional power with its GDP, with its GDP indicator, with its military capability and military defense budget, and Yeah, Benyamin is right that Turkey-Armenian normalization is strictly depends on Azerbaijan, potential Azerbaijan-Armenia diplomatic normalization, because the normalization with Armenia without the consent of Azerbaijan will be a double gambling for Turkey, because Turkey-Azerbaijan once went through this diplomatic crisis in 2009 when the Geneva protocols were signed. This immensely caused the diplomatic crisis between Turkey and Azerbaijan. So in that terms, just shortly after the Armenian rescuers were sent to Turkey, and Armenian Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan just paid an official visit to Turkey. During a joint press conference, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, the Turkish Foreign Minister, said that Turkey is much looking forward for normalization with Armenia, but there should be first the first Armenia-Azerbaijan normalization must come, and after that, the paving the way for normalization was between Ankara and Yerevan. So, like, I also don't expect Turkey act as a mediator, because Turkey at this stage has no role as of a mediator. Just only it can facilitate some initiatives and facilitate the talks in a trilateral format with Azerbaijan, Turkey, Armenia. But at this point, yeah, it has no role as a mediator. But still, Turkey, Armenian normalization, and in light of Armenia-Azerbaijan normalization, will be critical importance for South Caucasus stability, I believe.
Thank you very much, Fuad. May I ask now, audience, if there are any further comments or questions to be asked, addressed to our panelists? I don't see any. With this, I would like to conclude this meeting. I think that, I would like to apologize on behalf of Nodar. He had to rush to a meeting in the parliament. And please accept my apologies and his apologies through my apologies. Okay. And now, I would like to, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to all participants. I think that we made maybe some small but step forward in order in understanding each other's positions. This is only starting webinar. From other two are coming on the role of other regional players. So I am looking forward for next rounds of our interesting discussions. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.